letting go, turning it over, and the forgiveness process. Many people get into a 12-step or other program of recovery from alcoholism, chemical dependence, codependence, overeating, neurosis, or other form of suffering. And after attending the program regularly, and even working on it for 2 or more years, are still not happy. Often when someone brings up family issues or anger or confusion in a standard 12-step meeting, the group will avoid it, or someone will say, "Why don't you just turn it over?" As if it were easy to get free of our confusion and suffering immediately. Turn it over generally means to turn our upset or resentment over to a higher power. But we cannot turn it over without first knowing what it is that we want to turn over. We then need to know it more deeply by beginning to experience our conflicts, feelings, and frustrations. We experience not intellectually, but deeply in our heart, guts, and bones, the core or fiber of our being. We can facilitate our experiencing by risking, talking, and telling our story with safe others. The deeper our wound or trauma, whether it be past or present, the more often we will likely have to tell our story and grieve over not getting what we wanted. This may take weeks, months, or at times even years of talking about and expressing our feelings around our wounds. Only after we have so identified and experienced our pain to completion are we authentically able to begin considering the possibility that we may have a choice. The choice is to continue suffering or to stop suffering over whatever we have discovered is of concern for us, whatever has upset us. If we choose to stop suffering and feel authentically ready to do so, we can then let go of it. It is usually only at that point that we are able to turn it over and really be free of it. This entire step-by-step process can be called several names, including the forgiveness process, the detachment process, turning it over, decathexis, or simply letting go. We can summarize this process as follows. Number 1, become aware of our upset or concern. Number 2, experience it, including telling our story about it. Number 3, consider the possibility that we may have a choice to stop suffering over it. And then, number 4, let go of it. In healing our child within, we work through this process of identifying or becoming aware, experiencing, and then letting go. Since most of us have suffered a large number of ungrieved losses in our lives, working through them may take a long time. This is a test of our patience. In jest, some have referred to the prayer for patience. God, Allah, etc., please give me patience and give it to me now. Being assertive. During the transformation stage in healing our child within, we begin to become aware of the difference between being assertive and being aggressive. Being aggressive is usually some sort of attacking behavior, whether verbal, non-verbal, or physical, that may get us what we want, but usually leaves us and the other person feeling upset or bad about the encounter. By contrast, being assertive usually helps us get what we want or need, but without leaving us or another feeling upset or bad. In fact, a major indicator of whether we have been assertive is that we and the other person feel okay or even good about the interaction. Many children grow up in troubled or dysfunctional families, learn how to be either aggressive or manipulative, or to sit back or withdraw. They don't get what they want or need. They almost never see assertiveness being modeled, are rarely taught to be assertive, and thus grow up to be adults who operate by being either aggressive and or manipulative or passive. People pleasers, or a combination of these. Being assertive will usually get us what we want or need, but learning to do so usually takes practice. Some places to practice being assertive are with the safe and supportive people referred to throughout this book. An especially productive place to practice being assertive is in a group therapy. Some people, however, will also find the need for talking and taking an assertive training course. Such courses are usually available in most communities and are inexpensive. Bob was a 30-year-old accountant who joined a therapy group for adult children of troubled families. He was shy, withdrawn, and quiet in the group. Try as he would, he couldn't seem to get his point across in the group. A fellow group member who had taken assertiveness training suggested that he also take such a course. After doing so, Bob became much more active and expressive, both in and outside of group. I learned to speak up for myself, he told us. Now, when something is bothering me, or when I want something, I speak up for it. It is still difficult for me, but now I make myself speak up after I've thought about what I want to say. And each time I'm successful at being assertive, it gets a little easier. When we transform and become assertive, others around us may be taken aback by our change. They may even try to make us think there is something wrong with us because we have changed. Joe was a 52-year-old married man, father of one, who grew up in a troubled family that had much difficulty with boundaries, always minding one another's business. He spent his childhood and much of his adult life confused, resentful, and sad. In his recovery, he began to become more assertive and self-assured. Recently, when I stood up to my father when he mistreated me, I felt so good about it because I was assertive. Later, my mother, who saw me be assertive with him, told my sister, "I don't know what's wrong with your brother Joe lately. He's so different. I wonder what's wrong with him." As though I'm crazy or something. If I didn't have my wife in this group to talk to, I'd probably believe her. That maybe there is something wrong with me. That maybe I'm going crazy. But I know I'm not. In fact, I'm getting healthier. Joe is having an experience that is common to many people who are in recovery and who are healing their child within. Oftentimes, people either knew us in the past or know us now, may notice a change in us. Depending on where we are in our recovery, they may notice that particular change in us and become afraid that they might have to change someday. Fear may build up in them to such an extent that to handle it, they often dump it in some way onto others, often onto the person who they saw changing. It can be threatening to some people to see others change. This has been the last half of chapter 13 from the book Healing the Child Within by Charles L. Whitfield, MD. I appreciate you listening for the sunrise reading tonight. Thank you.